Ready to wake up happy, sis. Hey, booze. Hey, welcome to the final episode of season 11 for the Wake Up Happy Sis show. And I know that makes you guys sad because it kind of makes me sad too. But don't worry, we'll be back for season 12. So, if you don't know, we broadcast live on KCCR Cityscape Radio, where we're changing the narrative for our people because we're always telling our stories our way, and we are very unapologetic about it. Okay. Now, listen, today we are tackling a topic that to me doesn't get enough love, it doesn't get enough support, and it doesn't get enough shine. And that's menopause. Okay. I said it. I said the M word, menopause. The thing nobody talks about until really it heavily smacks you in your damn face with a hot flash at 3:00 in the morning, and you don't, or you got brain fog, or you done gained all this weight because your cortisol and your stress levels are so damn high. Not like I know anything about any of those things. You know anything about that, Sharonda? Because
I don't know. I mean, I might have heard, maybe experienced. I mean, yeah, but no, but yeah.
yes. But today's show is not about suffering through it. It's about owning it. Okay? Because menopause is not the end. To me,
Mm-mm.
it's actually a power move, right? Because
Mhm.
one, no more babies. I mean, I ain't been able to have babies in a long time, so I ain't worried about that. My factory
Wait,
baby.
I gotta go get my fan, ma'am, because
I
that
don't
was
know
snackable.
why you ain't got it. So,
I'm
okay.
traveling, you know that.
Go on, get your fan. We've got
Okay.
two powerhouse guests who are going to break it all down for us. First, we've got Crystal Taylor, my good friend over there, author, coach, and the wellness queen, who's all about helping women embrace their bodies and live their best and healthiest lives. And then we have Dr. Jessie Glaze, a pelvic floor physical therapist and intuitive leadership coach, specializing in menopause and chronic pain recovery. Look, if you didn't know, these ladies is bringing the truth. They bring in the tips and the transformation. They bring in the heat and the power and all the things that we bring. So grab your water, or whatever you want, because we don't judge what's in your mug. And get your pen, because if you're going through menopause, we be hot. Okay, we be hot up in here, but we gonna fan and we clack, because it's gonna get hot in here today. So get your fan, get your pen and paper, get so you can take some notes
Mm, mm,
because we about to do this.
mm.
Welcome to the show,
Woo.
ladies.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome
Yeah.
back, Crystal, because it's been a minute since you've been here.
I
And
Hello,
know.
my dear.
Hello. Mm.
Hello, Dr. Jane. How are you?
welcome,
Well,
Dr. Jesse.
thank you so much.
We welcome you to the Wake Up Happy Sis show. We got
Mhm.
our big brother Tony over there who's going to talk about woman pause because yes, men go through their own cycles and their own changes, and he's going to bring it
Mm.
to you from a man's perspective because that's what we do here.
Mm.
So first, Crystal, this is our
Yes.
system where we're just going to get to know everybody. So she's an author, she's a coach, a culinary expert. If you don't know, she got her own cookbook. Okay, look, she was
Two
like,
of them.
Woo.
okay, so
Woo.
excuse me, look, excuse me, but then she gonna look like I said something weird when I
Now I
said
don't know if I'm
culinary
an
expert.
expert. I like food. I'm an enthusiast. That's what I call myself. An enthusiast.
Hey, we look. See,
Look,
she knew
look,
what to do. She knew
look.
what to do. If you look, go on and look Crystal Taylor with a K. Go on and look her up. Get her books. I got the one cookbook on the right. I'm gonna let the
Mm.
left. I got one of the two. I'm gonna get the other.
Mhm.
So let's talk. In your book, F the Scale, you
Oh.
talk about self-acceptance and
Mhm.
rejecting outdated health myths. How
Mhm.
do you see menopause kind of fitting into this movement of self-empowerment?
You know what? And again, first of all, thank y'all for having me back because I love talking to y'all. So I say I'm getting that fan in a couple weeks, but I got my Sierra Leone fan
Hey,
for when
that
things
works.
get hot.
I mean, you can't clack yet.
I
You
can't
can't
clap
clack at
yet,
the Sierra Leone, but you're gonna get it. You're gonna
but
get
my
it.
clack fan is coming in a couple weeks. But during this time, menopause, you mentioned it earlier, our bodies are going through so much. They look different, they feel different, and it feels like it's overnight. And it's frustrating because we're already, as we're aging, and we are, ladies, stop lying about your age. Be grateful for every day you got. I'm just saying. But as we age, our bodies are naturally just changing. We're naturally gaining a pound or two every year, whether we want to or not. And the weight throws people off because for so long, that's what the focus has been. The weight, as opposed to what our bodies look like, the composition of it, our A1C, our cholesterol, and all of that. So we're so focused on that number and we see it creeping up, and it's just like, what the heck? Like, because it's naturally doing it. So that's why I wrote the book, to say, don't worry about that number. Let's just focus on all the other numbers that actually matter, because skinny people die. Overweight people can be extremely healthy and have all the right numbers. So that's why I wanted to write that book, because so many people, well, actually, I'm just going to say that a lot of times it's because we hear the BMI, you're overweight, you're obese, you're not normal, that it makes us feel some type of way psychologically. And then during menopause, we are going through all the things physically, mentally, emotionally. So it's really about focusing on what true health is during this time, as opposed to even thinking about that number at all. Let's just focus on what changes are happening and how we can control what we can't control, because everything does. Now it can be a slippery slope.
Yeah.
You are tumbling down the hill, but you can pump your brakes a little bit.
And so, what tips would you give for women on how to kind of make that shift, how to begin making that shift? Because it's hard when your whole life, let's say you used to be in a certain size.
Yeah.
Now I know when I had my hysterectomy, I blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Right when I had my hysterectomy, then comes this perimenopause thing, and you blow up again, and your hormones are all out of whack, and everybody else is looking at our bodies and more focused on the weight. So how do we start making that shift within ourselves so that we can start focusing on feeling good instead of obsessing over these changes in that the scale is showing?
Yeah, I think there are a few things that we can do. One is to do research, because what I've found is that menopause ain't what we thought it was going to be. I don't know about y'all, but growing up, I thought menopause was hot flashes, mood swings, and then your cycle stop. That's it. That's all. But now we're finding out it's all these other things. It's
Right.
tingling extremities, doggone itchy skin, dry skin, joint pain, insomnia, anxiety attacks, depression. There's so many other things that are going on. Loss of muscle mass, just so much that you can't even get into all of it. And they're starting to come do more research on. That's why I'm so glad. Thank you for having this conversation, because I started talking about it a couple years ago because it has been so taboo. It's almost like you mention it and people are like, why are you talking about that? That's so personal. It's personal because it's happening to all these persons. So we need to
Yeah.
talk about it.
Ma'am, come on,
You know what I'm
come on.
saying? So let's talk about it, because when I first started going through it, I started going through it, what, 9 years ago, and had no idea.
Yeah.
Because nobody was telling me that all the stuff that was happening, because it seems like it's all these random little things that's happening. You're like, what the heck is wrong with me? Like, what is going on? Why am I up in the middle of the night and I can't go back to sleep? Why am I waking up soaking wet? Why is my shoulder just hurting me? Like, what the heck? Why can I not remember a word? Simple words. So it's like putting all of these things together. So that's why it's important to do the research on what these other symptoms could be, because one, it empowers you to make changes within yourself, but then also to have a conversation with your medical provider, because my
Yes.
doctor didn't even want to test me to see if I was in perimenopause, because I had a hysterectomy too. But when I started listing all of these symptoms, she was like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and test you. Thank you, ma'am. Because other than that, she was just like, oh no, oh no, oh no. So that's one thing we need to do. And then another is to we need to know these things, because it's going to help us get the help that we need.
Yes.
I'll say for me, as a certified personal trainer, I work out 6 days a week. I noticed I just started getting fluffy. What the what? Like what is happening?
Not
Like
today. Yeah.
child. And it took one of my favorite people in the world, Dr. Mia Cowan, who was OBGYN down in Alabama. She saw me in a swimsuit and said, I ain't gonna tell y'all exactly what she said and what she called me, but she said, you in menopause. And I said, what you say? She said, you need some hormones because I've never seen fat on your stomach like that. And I was like, first of all, Dr. Mia, did you just call me fat? But okay,
Right.
you know, but what I realized,
Rude.
look,
Rude.
look, but she was right though, because I was doing everything that I could do and I needed assistance, so I had to look into getting some type of hormonal help. I don't do that synthetic crap, but that helped me because then all of a sudden the thing that sold me, when I talk about the words getting stuck, that was the scariest thing. I speak for a living.
That's all the time for me. Yeah.
And it would take weeks for a word to come out, literally weeks. And it would be the simplest word, like level. I'm trying to describe the word. Y'all know what I'm talking about when it's a whole bunch of them. Like
Oh my.
it was that bad. And then like a week or two later, I'll be like, level, that's the doggone word. But when I tell you, and that made me scared, like to the point I was in tears, like what is wrong? And then when I started my hormone treatment, and this is on everything, this is not me promoting hormones, but the very next day I remember the word in 15 seconds and I cried. I was like, thank you. Because I was doing everything I could. I was watching what I was eating. I was still working out. I'm drinking my water. I'm doing everything to manage my stress. Because ladies, when I pull my mic, I'm being dramatic. Look, we already have stress all over our backs. We do. And stress makes the menopause symptoms worse.
Of course.
They make them come out faster. To the point they thought I had MS in 2016.
Let me clap on her for that one.
It was that bad. But I didn't realize that it was just doggone menopause. So I was doing all the things to try to manage my stress. And so I just had to get a little help. So those are my things. I would say do your research and be open to trying new things because your life is different now. So you're going to have to try different things.
Yes, I love that. And welcome, Dr. Jessie.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. So, as a specialist in pelvic floor therapy, what would you say is kind of the biggest misconception about menopause that we kind of need to just immediately debunk?
All right. I feel like I'm okay to just dive right in with this.
Yes.
Sex does not end at menopause. You can still have and enjoy sex. And it drives me nuts that there's this idea that it's like, oh, well, my libido just went away. It's hormonal, right? It's one of the symptoms, but it doesn't have to be that way. Or, oh, well, now it always hurts. There are treatments. There are things that you can do. There are absolutely, if you want to be having sex or if you want to be having sex, there are a lot of things that you can do. And for whatever reason, most doctors won't tell you, won't promote it, don't know a lot about it. And there are absolutely ways to combat the drop in libido, to combat the vaginal atrophy, and these other things that happen that are like a really big deal and get treated like, oh yeah, that's just menopause. And it drives me insane.
Yes, I will say yes, because the dryness is, I was like, what? I don't know. I have a problem here. I don't like it.
Houston, we got a problem.
We got a problem. Wait, I already can't remember any damn thing. You're not going to take that away from me, too. Like,
right.
Man.
Well, and I'll introduce women to, like, they make moisturizers, like lotion for your vagina. And most of the women I talk to across the board are like, wait, what? It's like, yes, like it's tissue, like any other tissue. You can moisturize it. You can massage it. You can increase your blood flow. There are steps you can take to increase libido. There are supplements. And it's like, there are a lot of things that we can do. And it drives me crazy that we are just okay as a society with letting half of the population stop enjoying their sexuality after half their life.
Yes.
Not cool.
Yeah, I love
Not cool.
Now, I think as a therapist, you're kind of seeing firsthand the effects that menopause has on people's bodies, right? So,
yeah.
And I think often the changes are ones that we like Crystal was saying, we just weren't prepared for, and we don't necessarily associate it with menopause. We're just like, well, what the hell is going on? What's wrong? So what are some things that we can do? So we lotioning up our cooch. Get you some lotion, ladies, or get some of them honey packs. They have different little honey packs that are all herbs, not the other. Well, I guess you could use the other honey packs too, but that are really helpful. That are really helpful with moisture, and they have different supplements too. So we've got supplements, we've got lotion for our cooch. What are some other things that we can do for some of the other menopause kind of changes that are happening in our body?
So one of the biggest ones is if you're oh no, I missed it. I was like, it sounded like a good one.
Don't you just say
I will put that on the shirt. Lotion
moisturize the cooch.
Moisturize. Look. We keep it real raw and honest over here. You gotta moisturize it, you gotta get in there and massage it.
Right.
Sorry,
yeah.
They don't even know how to act today.
It's all day. Like I talk with people where I use medical terms because it's like, okay, I have to at least be like, there has to be one adult in the room when we're talking about your vagina. So I call it a vagina. And like the number of people that are like, well, my area down there. And I'm like, you have 3 kids and 2 grandkids. Like we got to be able to use words, right? It happens. You get used to it.
Use your words.
But one of the best things you can do if you're not already doing it is lift weights, build your muscle, because we do start losing muscle. Yeah, Crystal was talking about this. So we start losing muscle after, I want to say like 25, 30 at the latest, right? And most women on average go through menopause at age 51, and it usually starts with symptoms about 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
So start around 40, you start getting these weird things. And so the big ones are like lifting weights builds muscle better than any other activities you can do. They don't have to be crazy heavy. You can do really simple things, but lifting weights so that you're challenged, so that you are building muscle, going for walks regularly. And I recommend outside or swimming. You can do either, whichever feels better for you, but getting a little bit of cardio that's good for your brain, right? Like walking outside, especially if you live in an area where it's like comfortable to walk outside. Like, I lived in Minneapolis for a while. There are parts of the year I'm probably not walking outside. It was like negative 20 degrees. In general, it is good for your well-being. It is good for you to be outside in the world. It is good for you to be in water. Like your brain responds well to that. So it helps with reducing the stress too. Because when you get those exercise endorphins going, and I know I was like, this is all up Crystal's alley, but it's like, you are going to reduce your stress. A lot of the times at these ages, if you're 41 to 51 years old, you might be taking care of your kids, you might be taking care of your parents, you might be taking care of your kids' kids, right? And so your stressors, the things that stress you out, aren't going away. You're not going to abandon your family to be zen, right? So like what's going to happen is you have to have more tools to manage it. And you have to have tools for relaxing, and finding exercise that feels good in your body is one of the best things you can do for that.
Yes.
And I would think that would be good for people who are even younger, honestly, preparation for menopause, because it's coming. Okay. All you see little 30-somethings that think that you ain't going to get no pains. Okay. Just wait till you wake up and your left shoulder just hurt for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
And
if you're strengthening all your muscles and moving well around those joints, this is the other reason I like weightlifting, is if you are weightlifting and you're doing it well, you are reducing your likelihood of things like frozen shoulder or knee pain. Or hip pain kind of usually comes a little later, to be honest. Usually like knees and shoulders. I don't know why. Those are just the joints that seem to kind of crap out on you. And if you have strong muscles, you are a lot less likely to have pain in those joints.
All right, so let's get back and go back a little bit. So, and this is for everybody. When I was doing a little research on this, and it seems like Black women kind of experience menopause earlier, and they are sometimes hit with more severe symptoms than other racial groups. And I think we've got to deal with one. We're dealing with systemic racism and prejudices. We're dealing with chronic stress. We're dealing with different environmental factors and this generational health disparities that we already know are issues in the Black community, that I think are all the reasons why it may be showing up more severe and earlier for Black women. And so often we go into the healthcare system, and like Dr. Jesse said, the doctors aren't going to tell you. They are dismissing our concerns and our symptoms. So I say all that to say is we have to be the ones to start advocating for ourselves. So when Crystal says do your research, we mean do your research. Understand what your symptoms are. Understand, what's going on in your life, not just the physical things, but what's going on that may be causing you and triggering you to be more stressed. And what are the things that we can do to mitigate some of that? But also, when we're talking to our healthcare professionals, what are some things that we can say if we feel like we're not really being listened to when we're talking to our healthcare, our doctors and primary, physicians?
I want to jump in on what to say for doctors, okay? Because this is like every level of education. I've had some class that was like, Black people, and especially Black women, have so much more stress, that they have more health issues here. Like we can like chart it, right? And the medical gaslighting is super duper real. One of my favorite phrases to teach patients across the board, but especially when I work with Black women, is, can I have in writing that I requested this test and you're refusing it?
Come on, Dr. Jesse.
Yeah.
You better look. I hope y'all paying attention.
Yeah. I want to put in my chart, I want to see in writing that I requested this test and you're refusing it, because of how like litigious our medical system is. Like half the time they'll just back down, because saying I want proof that I requested this and you said no means later, if you were right, they are very, very suable. They're liable for that. And so letting them know, like, hey, one, I know my rights. And two, I want this on the record, really causes a lot of people to like, oh, hang on. And often they will back up.
But why do you have to threaten that though? Why?
No, yeah, it's disgusting. It's a huge freaking problem and I hate it. But it is some of, okay, like let's learn some medical hacks for how to get this stuff pushed through, because it shouldn't be like that. But since it is, like, what are we going to do right now? Yeah.
No, I definitely agree with that.
My opinion, color plays a lot of part in that,
It does. It definitely does. And I think we have to also look at who are we picking as our doctors, as our medical professionals, right? I have specific rules about who I will and will not select as a doctor for me. When I was younger, I wanted a male doctor. But the older I get, I want a Black female doctor, somebody who can understand who I am culturally and is not going to be so dismissive as I've seen some white male, honestly, just some white male doctors be.
Look, that's a fact. As soon as I have to look for a new doctor, my first thing is looking for a Black female. And then hopefully she's a DO. But
that part.
Like if she's not, that's fine. But like you said, it's so easy for us to just get lost and so dismissed. But what I tell people all the time, like, there are too many doctors out there. If I don't like your vibe, if you are not listening to me, then I will just switch. And I will put it in my records too, especially if it's like a family practice where they like to just say, hey, well, we can get you in with so-and-so. I flat out put it in there, put it in my records to never schedule me with. And they may say, well, why? Because he does not listen.
That's it.
Because he was very dismissive. I had one doctor, he diagnosed me with something one day and I was like, huh? I was like, something I had never heard of. And when I went and started looking at the symptoms, I was like, this is not what I even told him I had going on. Just like, because it was, I can't even remember what it was. It was just something random that was happening with my body. Like I was just feeling off because I started having reproductive issues when I was probably, I think my first surgery on my ovaries, I was like 18 and fibroids at like 21. So I, just had those issues. And so I'm always very aware if something feels off. And I went to him and I can't remember exactly what was going on. And he just seemed so like he just didn't care. It was almost like they got me here today. I don't feel like being here today. It's whatever it was, and said what he said and walked out. Now just like
in a disservice because he don't feel like being there.
Look, then don't be here.
Then
Don't be here.
You chose this career path, not me.
Exactly, not me. I didn't
You are
ask
nothing without patience.
Exactly.
You have a job because you're tending to
like
it.
why
Come on
would
now.
you take a job
Come on.
if you don't want to help people? So I was like, I would never ever sit with a doctor who does not listen to me. And when I think and especially, and let's also add it. So I think, LeAnne, you brought up that this is information that is also good for the younger ladies who aren't here yet. I always say it all the time. Now, we don't work out now for our age. I'm working out now at 48 so that I can keep moving at 78.
There you go.
Absolutely.
We have
Absolutely.
to start right now. We have to be proactive as opposed to reactive. But also with the age, not only are Black people dismissed, Black women are dismissed, but young Black women are dismissed. Because when I first started having my issues, like I said, I think I was probably 18, 19, somewhere around there. No, I think I was 20. I have a very high tolerance for pain. I just do. So if I say I'm in pain, something's wrong. Because my mama said, if she heard it in my voice, she said, something's wrong with you. You should go to the doctor. I went to the doctor and I'm telling him there's something in my side. I don't know what's going on. This man gave me the quickest pelvic exam I have ever had in my life. He was like, shoot, all right, get dressed. And I was just like, But then he comes to tell me, he's like, get dressed, meet me in my office. We're going to talk about it. He said, well, I didn't see anything. I didn't feel anything, but I would like to do an exploratory surgery.
What?
You're lost.
What now?
That man said an exploratory surgery to see if it could be fibroids or something else. And I was so frustrated that I started crying because I was just mad. Because at this point, I think I can remember how many doctors I've gone to. And he tells me, oh, I don't doubt, I don't doubt that you're in pain. But I just want to go in and say, I was like, and I was just so glad that I had enough sense to not say, no, sir, you're not going to cut on me just to see.
Right.
When you gave me a 2-second doggone exam, and I made a decision at that point that that I would never, ever let a doctor just dismiss me and I'm gonna give them my corner. No, absolutely not. Exploratory surgery. I know you lied. Like I know
you lied in my face.
I know you lied.
He ain't just lying, he playing in my face because
all the way.
All the way. And I'm glad I didn't, because since then I've had 3 or 4 surgeries that I needed. And getting cut in your belly is not fun. It's not fun.
Ma'am.
It's not.
Come on.
Sit right. It takes a while for the muscles to heal.
Cough if you want to. Sneeze if you want
to.
That was the worst pain ever coming off of my surgery. And trying to, I had my cousin, one of my little cousins stayed with me for the week. Now, true. Now I may have a high tolerance for pain too, because by the 3rd day I was driving.
Ma'am,
I had places
you weren't supposed to drive. Look,
I know, but I had places to be.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I put the thing on.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Binder.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
I did. I put
Yeah,
the
I did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
No,
you
Yeah, I
didn't.
did.
No, you didn't.
In my mind, I did.
You didn't.
Now, would I do that now? Now I sit my ass at home. But when you're younger, you think you're invincible, and you don't realize.
Oh, you talking about when you were young?
Causing more problems. I was younger. That was.
Oh, okay. So okay. So
Listen to Billy Bob.
now I can switch and snitch, because it was after the first surgery. So they found I had cysts on my ovaries and I had fluid on my pelvis and something else. So I had my surgery and I was like 100 miles away from my mom. I was in college the first time I had to have surgery. I think I had 2 of them in college. And so I think the day after the surgery, I get a knock on my door and I'm like, uh-oh, because I was on a chair trying to get something out of the closet the day after my surgery. So I get my way out the chair and I go to the door, and y'all, it was my mama. She said, what that chair doing over there? I was like, I was trying to get something. She said, that's why I came down here, because I knew your stubborn butt.
But you don't talk about me. But you were trying to talk about me.
Too.
And
I thought you were talking about recently.
Guilty.
I was a kid.
No.
I was a kid. Hey, Doc.
Sheree, you probably are the only one with no sound, boo. Turn your volume up on your machine, boo. We here.
Or refresh your page.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, hey, boss lady.
Welcome, Dr. Clark.
Grammy
Award winning.
Right. Grammy Award winning Dr.
Hello,
Clark.
ma'am.
Back on that name over there.
For those
who don't know, is the owner of KCCR Cityscape Radio.
Hey.
And she coming here to talk. So Crystal's already told us her menopause symptom that probably took her by surprise was the brain fog and 2 weeks to remember a word. I will have to say, for me, the dryness and the change in my libido was the biggest thing. I think that's taken me by surprise, that I'm not pleased.
So LeAnne, can I tell you a story? So the reason why when Dr. Mia told me I needed hormones, I knew immediately I wanted these pellets. So let me tell you the story about the pellets and why pellets stayed in my brain for years. When I got my first mammogram, when I turned 40, one of my texts was asking me, she's like, are you in menopause yet? And I was like, I don't think so, blah, blah, blah. And she said, baby, she said, menopause almost took me out. She said her vaginal dryness was so extreme that she would chafe when she walked. She said, I would park my car here at work, and by the time I got in here, I was crying because I was in pain. And she said, I could not even think about having sex with my husband. She said, everybody was suggesting these, all these ointments and what you call it, cooch creams.
Coochie cream, baby.
Cooch cream. Hashtag that. I'm gonna put that in the comments.
Get out my water.
I'm putting that on the shirt. I'm telling you.
She said, look, Cooch Cream. She said she had tried all of that and nothing worked. And she said she said somebody recommended these pellets. And she said that, so what the pellets are, they're bioidentical. They're made from yams, and they insert them under your skin on your butt. And she said that was what changed her vaginal dryness and got her back to her healthy self. And I just remember thinking like, oh, Lord, I don't want that to happen to me. So for years, I had pellets in my head because I was like, that has to be the worst, to be in that much pain just from walking. So that's what I said. I feel like I'm a walking billboard for them. But one thing I would say, and insurance, the crazy thing. Oh, can we talk about this, doctor? Can we talk about how some of these treatments are not even covered by our insurance?
Talk about that.
Look,
so many.
Look, I pay for the pellets out of my pocket. That's why I say that's my investment in my mental health and all of that stuff. And I would never stop paying for them or investing in them. But it's frustrating that we are going through natural transitions and cycles in life, and we can't get the doggone support that we need. But the men can get the same hormones, and it's covered for them.
Right. Well, and so a lot of the time bioidentical hormones aren't covered, which is like what you want. It doesn't have to be pellet form, but like you do want bioidentical estrogen. It's better for you and it seems to work better. People have fewer side effects, but they also won't cover testosterone, which when we talk about libido, testosterone is so key for that, right? Because it's not just, there's originally like when you go through menopause, your first phase is kind of your estrogen dominant phase, where your testosterone drops, your progesterone drops. So you're like super estrogen out basically. And it's honestly, it's a little bit like a PMS kind of thing. And then when that drops, now you have low estrogen and low progesterone and low testosterone. And so you're not getting, for a while there, when it first like drops, the testosterone almost like peaks where you can get a little bit of a second wind with libido, like toward the second half of menopause, and then it kind of fades out. But a lot of women, when you look at they won't even test for testosterone a lot of the time unless you have a doctor that really knows what they're doing or you insist, which is so frustrating. And they'll sometimes help you with replacing estrogen, but they mostly want certain kinds. And it's like, okay, the good ones have to be like compounded. And it's this whole process. And then they won't cover the testosterone because women don't need this. And there's one FDA-approved drug that it took a long time to get approved for low libido in women. And it wouldn't get approved, not because it wasn't safe, because, and I quote, the FDA said, women don't need this. Like,
need?
How you gonna tell us what we need?
I know,
That's
right? Like,
what makes me so mad about it.
But now they've approved it for women who are premenopausal. But if you're going through perimenopause or you're postmenopausal, it's not for you because they haven't tested it in that population. Why not? Like, what is that? So it's just,
That makes sense.
Girl, I could go on. it's just enraging that this is still a thing where, okay, this is half of the population, technically more than half of the population, because women live longer. More of us make it to 50 something. And it's affecting this whole group of people. And we're acting like it's like this weird little taboo thing that's not worthy of our research dollars. Like, unbelievable.
Well, but then the message they send is that older women are not valuable.
Right.
And we ain't even that damn old.
We are not.
Like I said, I started going through this stuff 9 years ago. And that's crazy when I said that. And the reason why I know, let's talk about this too, if we can. So 9 years ago, I was at a therapy appointment. Y'all, if y'all ain't got no therapist, get you one. Look, I'm just saying,
Absolutely.
life be life, and look, if you sprain your ankle, you'll go to a physical therapist. So if your heart, your mind feels sprained,
come on, Crystal, come on.
Look, I'm just saying
that.
But I was at the therapist, and she looked at me and she said, "I think you're premenopausal." And at the time, this was before I had my hysterectomy or anything like that. And I was like, I still got my cycle and blah, 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 blah. And she said, no. She said, there's a belief that menopause starts with your hormones. She said, but it doesn't. It's psychological first. And she said, I'm listening to you. And you are very aware of what you do and will and won't tolerate. She was like, you're setting boundaries that you had never set before. Because I'm such a nurturer and I'm such a giver. So I was always saying yes, yes, yes. And then I finally got to a point I was just tired. And I was just calling people out like, no. And so
come on.
She said, that's the beginning stage of menopause. And I had no idea. And then tack on, that was also the same year where they thought I had MS. So it was just like all of these things were happening, and I just didn't even know to put them together. I didn't know that it was menopause until I had Dr. Mia come talk to my clients. And she was just talking about all the list of symptoms, and I was listening to it, and I was like, why is she talking about me? And I'm like, I brought her on from them, but she's talking to me.
Talking to me.
She's talking, and that's when I went straight to my doctor, and I was like, okay, because I just didn't know all of those things that have been compounding over years. Now, this is also the thing. Menopause can last, and Dr. Jess touched on it too, 8 to 12 years. So
I'm sorry. Wait, you mean?
Yes, but this is the thing. Hold on. Well, like you said, I want to put it in perspective a couple ways. Okay.
Oh Lord Jesus, help us.
The thing is, by the time we realize that we've already been in this process. So some of the years you experienced it, you didn't even know it. All right.
Yeah.
Take y'all okay? Y'all okay?
Yeah, I can believe that.
Look, but then also look at it this way. It's a fraction of the amount of time we had our cycles. Most young ladies start their cycles about 11 to 13.
11,
and it stops around 50. That's 30, 40 some years. We can do this little 8 to 12 where we don't even know that we in it. All right.
Right.
So
I will agree with you about that.
Hold on. Because when she said that, I was like, shoot, so I've been in this like 9 years already. Okay. All right. Come on, let's go down.
On the back end. Yep.
Let's go down here. So, but yeah, that's what's the stuff that we go through. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Well, and that psychological bit, like it goes with, it's the same, your initial, like perimenopause kind of starts almost feeling like PMS. And like PMS gets a bad rep because it's like, oh, you're so bitchy, you're so whatever. And it's like, no, I tolerate less shit, right? That's really
Come
what
on, Dr. Jesse. Come on.
I would like explain today. I'm not gonna today. And that's the essence of the PMS moodiness. And that's what early menopause looks like. Is like, actually, I'm not doing this shit anymore. Actually, I'm not.
Actually, you're right. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
And it
Look
is.
at Dr. Jesse. Look at Dr. Jesse.
Hello, Dr. Jesse.
Right
Come
on.
on. Come on, Dr. Jesse.
Not doing this shit no more.
Yeah.
Absolutely that.
Yeah.
My God.
No, that's. I think for me, I've been. If I really think back, because I don't like doctors. I'm gonna just put that out there. I've had such bad experiences that I don't go to the doctor unless I know something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Good or bad, don't judge me. Judge your mammy. Okay, don't judge me. Okay, but I will say that I do feel that I've been either from perimenopause to menopause to where being probably in full menopause now. I would agree with that 12 years because I know I started mine in my early 40s. If I track back, if I really start thinking about when you're talking about the psychological, and I look at in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, one, I've had so much loss and death coming around me, but I felt like I'm already a Cancer, so I wouldn't even say I've ever really been super emotional. But now, oh my God, I feel like I'm so emotional, but emotional on the petty side, not on the cry.
Oh,
emotional on the I would probably.
it is. Oh my God.
If you make me mad, or I'm gonna really try hard to hurt your feelings. And I had to. No, I mean, people were laughing about that, but I
feel you though.
Serious. I've said things to people that I know I was wrong as before it came out, maybe. But when I said it, I was like, oh.
That was Ricky Bobby.
But I think people need to realize that it can change how you perceive yourself, how you perceive and you engage with other people. So I think we have to think about that. It took me a minute for me to really soul search and get myself back together to come out of that. I mean, I'm still petty. I'm gonna be petty till I die. But
Petty's my favorite color.
You see what I'm saying? But intentionally, I'm only reactive petty. I was proactive petty for a couple of years, and I had to be like, who are you? Because it really made me look at what's going on and who is this person that I don't recognize anymore. So I say all that to say is realize that the psychological, the mental, emotional, it's real. And it sometimes can have you feel like you don't even know who you are anymore. So get the help that you need. If you need to go to, I ain't going to the doctor, but I'll go to a therapist. I'm gonna talk to a therapist.
So can we touch on something, especially since Mr. Tony's here? And to tag on what you were saying, because I was so happy that he was here. Because I saw a video last year at some point, and they talked about how menopause, because of all the hormones, just all the stuff that's going on, everything you just said, we don't know who we are. We really don't. We're trying to grasp this new change. I found myself apologizing a lot because I knew that I couldn't control what I was thinking, what I was feeling, my reactions. And so the video talked about how it impacts relationships and how many marriages and relationships fail during this time because all of that we're going through. And as Dr. Jesse said, we ain't taking shit no more. And then the men are going through their own, they call it midlife crisis, but it's andropause. They go through their male menopause as well. Their hormones are changing. And so it's like this constant button of the head because there are so many changes happening at the same time. And it's, when I saw the video, I was like, I need to share this with not just the women, but the men too. Like if you have a woman who's going through this phase, even if it hasn't been diagnosed yet, if she's in this age range, please try to give her some grace, and you all sit down and try to talk about it together. Because if you don't understand her, trust and believe she doesn't understand her. And she's not trying to be difficult. She's not. She's essentially trying to save her life because she feels like she's going crazy. Everything, if you think everything changed overnight, imagine how she feels. Like, it is a really, really scary time. So to Mr. Tony and any other man who could be listening or watching, I know your woman might be driving you, as they say, batshit crazy.
Shit crazy.
Like she was already crazy, and now I got to deal with this. Look, it's part of better for worse. But y'all sit down and talk about it and figure it out together, because she does not mean any harm. She cannot control it. She cannot. This is not she just becoming older and bitter. She's just trying to adapt to this new norm. But y'all need to talk about it together.
Yes.
I have a question. I'm curious. So this is all. I'm in it too. I'm in the middle of it now, and I'm on how many? I'm on 2 milligrams of estradiol a day.
Oh.
In addition to that, I'm on D3 daily. This was something that my doctor prescribed. And one of the things that I noticed right away, and I'm going to circle back to my question, was it was instant, y'all. The minute it was literally. So Crystal, you know what I'm talking about. Like I literally, and I encourage anybody, if you have not had your blood work done, please go see your doctor. Please go get your blood work done so you can find out what is wrong. So the question that I have right now is, I've noticed that since I'm on estradiol now and I'm on D3, I've noticed that there's this level of calm now that maybe I didn't have before. Now the fuzziness is still there, with sometimes if I'm having a conversation, then the swirling will start again. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things that we can do about that? And the anxiety is still kind of there. Is that also a part of menopause? Do you think what is that caused by? Because honey, listen, I take the ashwagandha, I'm taking magnesium every day, all the things, right? To try to help to quell. Is that a part of that I know I came in late, but I have questions. And what can we do? And Crystal, ladies, for those of you all who are in the middle of menopause right now, what are some of the things that you're doing to kind of combat this and have normal days, even if that's a thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the anxiety is definitely real. I didn't start having anxiety attacks until a couple years ago, and I didn't know what it was. I just said, at first I was like, it's like stimulation overload. I noticed that if I was sitting still, I could hear everything. And it was just like, and I was like, what the heck is happening? To the point where the worst that it got, we were in Egypt and we went to a museum and there were a lot of people outside. Okay. But when we got in, it was just as many people. And for some reason, it threw me off. I found myself backed up against a wall crying because I was so stimulated and I couldn't control it. But luckily, I had shared it with my husband and he was watching me. He's like, are you okay? Do you need to go outside? And he just sort of stood in front of me and let me, because I was like, no, I didn't want to call any attention to myself. So I just stood behind him and cried a little bit, got it together and just released it. But it is part of it. But for me, the things that you're talking about with the mental fuzziness, the anxiety, that was because my testosterone was low. So that was what my doctor, when she ran my test. So my estradiol is actually still through the roof. I'm still good with it, but my testosterone was low. So the hormones play a lot of roles, and I'm so glad we're talking about it. Thank you, Dr. Jess, for bringing up all of them, because most people think it's just estrogen. It was like, no, there are more hormones. There are more hormones. But I would love to push this to Dr. Jesse to talk more about the whole psychological aspect of it and how it all plays part.
Yeah. So the anxiety is, for a lot of people, the first symptom. Like, one of my favorite books about menopause was written by a psychiatrist, because she's talking about these women in their 40s kept coming to me saying, I think I'm going crazy because you're not sleeping suddenly. and everything bothers you. Your senses get weird. It's almost like going through like a Spider-Man transition, right? Like your senses get heightened because it's not just hearing. I remember my mom, when she went through it, I was a teenager, and it was smell. Her smell was strong, like she was pregnant, right? Because she was in that estrogen dominant phase. So she was like everything, like there were certain things that she'd been able to eat. Now it was too strong. It was too much. Everything. If there were strong smells anywhere, she was like, I have to leave. Like she would get overwhelmed. Handle it. Her skin got more sensitive, started developing like rashes to things that she'd never had an issue with before. And a lot of it is increased sensitivity, like across the board. It seems to be increased sensitivity. Like your coochie's more sensitive. Your skin everywhere else is more sensitive. Your joints are more sensitive. Your emotions are more sensitive. Your senses are more sensitive. And so everything just feels ramped up to 11. And it's really easy to get overwhelmed. So I've had a few sessions with people where they came to me for like physical pain, and we end up doing some deep breathing and progressive muscle relaxation. Like, let's just bring it down, turn off the light. Sometimes I'll like even do like the little headache massage through here to help like just breathe, like get things to settle down, because it is so easy for all that stuff to add up. And it's not like it's a time in your life that things are like going chill anyway, right? Like we talked about this at the beginning where you miss, where it's like, so right now you've probably got kids, you've possibly got grandkids, you've got aging parents, like, and you're taking care of all of them, right? So it's like, it's really important to have those, when we went through a couple of tools, but like things that help you decrease your stress level. I'm a huge fan for like the immediate, like, a couple of breath things I like is the like breathe in for 4 to 5 seconds, breathe out for twice as many. That does tend to work. Just like exhaling everything, kind of calm things down. I also sometimes will teach people like EFT tapping, which there's a bunch of different versions of this. Like I have a friend who's a sensei and she calls it something else, so it's probably some stolen practice. But it's you tap and relax. And like if you like tap these certain acupoints, you move through and you can be like, okay, it's okay that I feel this way, and like tap and like kind of tell yourself this is fine. Like you can actually, your system will calm, and I'll watch people do it. I've experienced it. I have one video somewhere of me like having an anxiety attack and crying and being like, hey, I'm going to show you how this works. And by the end, you see like, okay, and it doesn't fix everything, but it's a nice little like way to break it up. The other thing that works really well for anxiety is cold, which also helps with the hot flashes. So one of my favorite tricks that I always gave, especially the women in the office where I worked, we're all going through menopause, and throw a necklace in the freezer. I really like a necklace that fits almost like what's her name?
Like a choker.
Yeah, like the Flintstone gal has, where it's like these big like
I bet.
Yeah. Anything that's got kind of like bigger stones, because they'll get cold. And you pick a stone that works for you. But they'll get cold without hurting you like metal. And if you put it on, especially right here in this little spot that I don't know what it's called, but that soft spot and cold hair will calm things and cool down your whole body.
Or even the back of your neck. For me,
back of your neck
it's the back of my neck. Take a cold. You can. One of my friends sells these. They're like almond shell filled things. You can put them in the freezer. You can put them in the microwave and heat them up, and you just kind of lay it across the back of your neck. That's going to help cool down a lot of your system too. And what I've noticed is a rise in cortisol. Right. So if you look at a lot of the things when we're going through menopause and all of this, your estrogen levels are dropping. And so your system's natural checks on your stress response, that starts to shift. Your cortisol level starts to rise, which is the stress hormone. So now you're more anxious. You got like, for me, this is how it's been. Somebody was reading off this list. I was like, damn, I have every single thing. I have the ringing in the ears when you're just doing something, right? And doing nothing, ringing in the ears. Like Chris was saying, I can hear everything. My reaction to food is very different. Most of the things I eat now, 10 minutes later, I feel sick. So, we're about to go on a whole cleanse of everything, right? but we have to realize that it's just a hormonal imbalance.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're looking at what are some things that I can do without having to take a medicine because I'm having an anxiety attack or thing right now, I definitely do deep breathing. That's always a big thing. It's just like a 1-minute meditation. I close my eyes, and you can do this anywhere, just not in a car while you're driving.
Please no.
Right? Please don't.
Mhm.
Right? But I'll just close my eyes and I'll breathe in on a 4 count. I'll hold it for a 4 count, and then I'll breathe out for a 4 count. Right? And I'll just do that over and over until I feel better. Right? I do grounding exercises. Go sit outside, meditate in nature, in the grass. I want to go do puppy yoga.
Mm.
Sorry, what?
Or goat yoga.
They do goat yoga, puppy yoga.
Yes. Kitten yoga, whatever. Right? But you could try these grounding exercises, like name 5 things. It's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. Right? You're going to name 5 things that you see. 4 things you can touch. We're going through our senses, right? 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Right? Sometimes we just have to collect ourselves. And your anxiety is because you're feeling all over the place, right? So this grounding is going to help kind of bring our mind back to center, help us reground and focus and not feel so scattered. Dr. Jess talked about the progressive muscle relaxation. I've tried all of these things. I'm buying myself, it's not a yoga mat because those ain't thick enough for me. But it's this little mat, and you can put pillows in it of whatever kind of fluffiness, so you get more comfort. And I'll lay on one of those, and I just literally will go through and do a body scan. And as I'm scanning, I'm relaxing everything, right? And it takes a minute. It's not like you're going to do it the first time and it's great and you're perfect at doing it. Like anything else, it takes practice, right? I love to do mini meditations, and my mind is always going a mile a minute, probably 4,000 miles a minute. My brain is like squirrel mode sometimes. But doing mini meditations is going to help you kind of calm things down and bring things back to center. And so I'll focus on one thing, right? And an image I have in my mind of this peaceful, calm, serene place. And when my mind starts to wander, I don't get mad at it. I just gently nudge it right on back to where I want it to be. And those kind of things, it doesn't have to be long, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, is really going to help kind of bring you back to center, help you feel more grounded, less anxious. And you just have to find the things that work for you. For you, it might be journaling, right? Let me write about what I'm feeling. Sharonda and I are big journalers, right? We talk about this a lot on the show, right? So you just have to find the thing that works for you and do your own research, right? Do your own research, because the only way you're going to find it is to try it, right? You may be like, I'm tapping. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like tapping. That might not be your thing, right? But try some things and just get out and move. Let's try moving our
Can
body.
we talk about that moving thing?
Thank you, because I've been waiting. It felt like double dutch. I'm like, ooh, let's I'm gonna let her go ahead and finish, but I got moving on the brain.
She said, "I'm ready." Look, I was trying to ease it to ease that pass on into you, because we ain't talked about food yet. This is why I tell you, an hour is not long enough. We haven't talked about the food side of it, right? We haven't talked about. We talked a little bit about movement. Go on, Krista, go on.
Now, the Grammy Award-winning doctor had a question.
Y'all need to stop. Listen, so there's this thing that's happened.
Okay.
And I can't explain it, and I don't know what it is. What is this?
Uh-oh.
What? Why are they down here? Why do
Come
I
on.
feel like
Come on.
Squidward?
Come on. Come on.
Wait, why is what down there?
Where them fans at?
Your tites, your tatas.
Can we talk about why do I feel like I have extra arms now, right? I was already busted. But now whenever I walk, I have applause wherever I go. Just, you know what I mean? Just
Whole side
I
effect.
mean,
Oh,
maybe you should just lean into it. Lean into it.
I'm already damn it, I'm a fall over.
Oh,
So
she thinks she got a round of applause wherever she goes.
what is this thing with the skin? And listen, y'all, I'm so listen. And Crystal, I know I was in your program, and it's time for me to come home. Listen, because I cannot with the folding, like when I sit down and like things are flat that used to not be flat, and now when I lay down flat on my back, I can't do it no more because now it look like I got two bald head men in the head.
some of that could also be cortisol. Some of that could also be your cortisol levels are higher because it does cause you to gain weight and all of that. So
so let's talk about the cortisol. Oh,
Wait a
first
minute,
of all, Doc, I'm mad at you. You got me snorting live. Like,
yeah, wait a minute. Did she say when she lay back it looked like two bald-headed men?
in a headlock.
All of that.
Over, you know.
Oh, help me, Jesus. Please.
I got to sleep on the incline so I don't choke to death in my sleep. You know, come on.
So let's talk about cortisol. So cortisol is a trip. Cortisol does two things. One, it impacts your ability to even burn fat. And then two, it adds fat around your belly specifically. So it's like a double whammy. It's a double whammy. But this is the thing. When it comes to cortisol, exercise is by far the best treatment for it. It's been proven because it reduces your cortisol levels, increases your adrenaline, your dopamine, right? So when we talk about these things like exercise is truly the most overlooked and underused stress reliever that there is, right? We typically run the foods and all of this stuff. So when they say walk it out, that is real. And let me backtrack a little bit. Let's change the word. Let's not change the narrative. Let's not say exercise. Let's talk about moving your body, point blank and period. There are too many things that we can do out there that you enjoy that's going to get your heart rate going, burn you some calories. You know, you can mention swimming, biking, pickleball, and don't minimize it by saying, oh, I just walk. No, you walk. Take that off. You moved your body, right? So finding something that you enjoy, even if it's, you know, like I like when the weather breaks, I get to work in my yard, you know, things like that. Just moving that body to help reduce those cortisol levels. And what I would highly suggest is that, and also talk about too, with moving your body, strength training, because Dr. Jesse talked about it earlier with lifting weights. But ladies, let's remove the excuse, because I know somebody said, well, I don't have weights. You don't need weights. Your body, all you really need is resistance. Your body is the best resistance that you have. You can do your squats, you can do your push-ups, you can do all that good stuff. And if you're not good at those yet, you can do them modified. You can do them on the wall. You can do them on the floor. You can do them a lot of different ways. Just don't have the excuse of not being able to do something to move your body. That's the key, is to do something to move your body. And I would highly, highly suggest that, I know some people will say, well, I like to work out in the evening to burn off my stress. But if you have a stressful life, and Dr. Jesse, listen, there are a lot of things that we got going on. And she didn't even mention work, y'all. She didn't talk about that. She just talked about the personal life. She didn't talk about the work. She didn't talk about paying the bills. There's so many other things that we have going on. So how about we start the day at a not at a deficit, right? At a surplus. So if you start your day with movement, you're decreasing your cortisol levels, so that when stress does come your way, because think about it, if I had this mug, if I start my day full of water, and then the day, if the water is stressed and the water keeps dripping in here, it's overflowing. But if I drink my water throughout the night, drink it in the morning, when water drips in here, there's more room for it. You're able to handle it better, as opposed to trying to start the day with a full doggone cup. And that's what you're doing when you start your day with stress. A lot of us, wake up and check our phones and see all the other things that are happening. You're adding stress. So start your day with movement, whatever movement. Oh, and we didn't mention dancing. Whatever you enjoy, have look. Those line dances. What I've done at a few of my retreats and whenever I'm with my clients, one of the favorite workouts when we do the doggone Tamil line dance. That thing will wear you out.
That thing will
wear you out. But you're having fun. You're having fun. So don't get sucked into doing things that you see everybody else is doing if you don't like them. Because if you don't like it, you're not going to stick with it. You're just not. So find something that you enjoy, move your body, decrease your cortisol levels naturally. And of course, like I said, we haven't even talked about the food, but be mindful of what you eat, because there's no good or bad food, because food is fuel, but you determine what type of fuel you're putting in your body. So be cognizant on how that food makes you feel, not just physically, but emotionally afterwards, and try to make the decision to have more of those foods that make you feel good, that make you feel like you're awake, feel like you're productive, feel like you're light, that are keeping your bowels moving. Because we didn't even talk about gut health. Lord.
Probiotics, probiotics,
right. Get your fiber. I'll say that. Get your recommended fiber is like 25 grams a day. It is way more than you think, especially if you look at stuff, you're like, okay, oatmeal, that's high in fiber, and it's like 5 grams. Like, where am I? It's a process, but if you're getting 25 grams a day, you're improving your bowels. You're decreasing the likelihood that you're going to have constipation. You're helping keep things moving, but you're also going to be more full and actually reducing your risk of some cancers, because keeping things moving is important. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a big one.
Yeah, because when you know that if you locked up, look, you don't want to do nothing else. Your belly hurts, and then it starts making your stomach sour. Like, there's so much that goes along with it. So in addition to the fiber, making sure that you drink at least half of your body weight in ounces of water. And something else that I do every morning before I get out of the bed, I lay flat on my back. I take my right hand and I massage my colon to help get things going the way they need to. So if you take your right hand, put it at the bottom of your belly, like right in the middle, and bring it up to the right, go across, down to the left. That's the way your colon goes. So, and sometimes you might even feel it, and you might poot a little bit, but it's actually
you go hard.
Yeah, but it really helps to get things going. It's like sort of training the colon, like, hey, we're gonna get ready to move some things around. And then when you add the water, the fiber, and the movement with it, you're cleared out a little bit better.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I do that a lot. I use that method a lot.
All right, y'all. It's 11:08. We gotta go. I definitely gotta go. And I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry that we had to cut this conversation short. This is the last episode of season 11, but we will be back in season 12, and likely we will come back and talk about menopause again, because there's so many pieces of this and aspects of this that we haven't even got to. So, Crystal, would you like to share your final words with the people and tell them how they can connect with you?
Yeah. So my final words would be to my ladies who are going through it. There's no need to be mad about it. We knew it was coming. We know it was going to come like this. But we knew when we were a little girl that we were going to eventually blossom and bloom, and then the flower was going to dry up. But we didn't know it was going to happen like this. But whether we knew it or not, it's here. So instead of being mad about it, because that increases the stress levels too, continue to do your research, continue to talk to not just medical providers, but other people, other women who are going through it, so that you know that what you're going through is not so rare, because sometimes we feel like something's wrong with us. So find that support system, move your body, drink your water, eat your fiber. You might want to, and I know during this time it's stressful, so you might want a little more wine, but you might want to have to pull back on that wine because that can increase your hot flashes. So think about that, and the caffeine. So think about that and just make the adjustments, the small adjustments that can make huge impacts on your day-to-day life. So you can do this. Look, girl, we've been through a lot more. I always say, think about the worst day you ever had in your life, and then realize you made it. Today ain't that day. All right, we got it. Yeah, that's that's because we can talk about this on forever, but we can't. So, but I encourage you all to I'm at Fitness is Not a Game on all the old people socials, as I like to call it, on the Tickety Talk, on the but you can find me
Facebook.
Look on Facebook, IG, YouTube, TikTok. I am at Fitness is Not a Game. I encourage you, reach out if you have questions. I'm more than happy to help because and I can't even I would never be mad at my mom because they didn't know. So I just want to be able to provide some of the service that I wish I had coming up. So
all right. And Dr. Jesse, any final words and how people can connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and YouTube actually at Reclaim Your Life PT. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Because I was gonna say, yeah, I've got so much more. I could go on forever, right? And I love helping people with this. It's something that like I have a burning righteous fury about. So I get really excited if I can help you combat the absolute like unfairness of the situation. So my final thought to you though would be like, even though it feels super rough to be going through this time period, in research that they've done on women at end of life, like when were you happiest in your whole life? By far the most common answer is somewhere between the ages of 50 and 65. So even as you're moving through this era, like it gets better. And for most women, the best is yet to come. So even though it feels like the world is falling apart, like the grandmothers have spoken, this gets better and ends up being like, as you get to the other side of this, one of the best times of your life is postmenopausal. So
that's right.
There's hope.
Yes. All right. Well, with that, I want to thank my fabulous guests, Crystal and Dr. Jesse, for being here. This wraps up season 11. We'll be out for a couple weeks as we kind of get ready for season 12. Again, we're probably going to have this conversation again because this is such an important topic and we really need to have more conversations about this. There's so much more that we can dive into. But I want to thank y'all. Remember, menopause is not the end. It is just a transition to your next best life. So with that, make sure that y'all come back. Check us out over here at the Wake Up Happy Sis Show and on KCCR Cityscape Radio, where we're changing the narrative for our people because we're telling our stories our way. We'll see you at season 12. Bye.
Thanks for having us. This is awesome.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Wake Up Happy Sis Show. Join us live every Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern for more joy, healing, and sisterhood. Until next time, keep thriving unapologetically.